Alaska Arts Confluence is a nonprofit organization focused on creating community through support of artists and their work. They brought us Art on Main Street. Today, Haines' KHNS's Emily Files is checking in with Executive Director Carol Tyneman and the project manager Reese Williams about a really inventive sculpture garden that's planned for Fort Seward.
I'm Carol Tyneman. I'm the Creative Director of Alaska Arts Confluence.
And I'm Reese Williams. I'm the project manager of the Fort Seward Interpretive Project.
So what is the mission of the Alaska Arts Confluence?
Alaska Arts Confluence was formed to promote all artists of the Chilkat Valley, and through education, enrichment, and other projects for visitors and residents alike.
And how did the Fort Seward project idea come about?
Well, when Tanya Carlson was the tourism director, she was putting out the word that she was looking for a way to redo the interpretive signs in Fort Seward. Right now there's 6 of them. And I found out through Peter Gall that there was an Art Place America grant available for creative placemaking. So I proposed that we would submit that. And we did end up getting the Art Place America grant of $217,000. So that made it possible to do this project.
And can you explain what is it? It's an interpretive art project?
Okay, rather than just going around and reading about the history of a location, the historic Fort Seward Interpretive Project will tie the past and the present together through the eyes of our creative community. So through the artists, sculptures, and art pieces, they will get a broader vision of the history of Fort Seward as it applies today.
This could be for either of you, but could you describe what it looks like right now and what you're hoping, what your vision is for what it'll look like when this project is completed?
Well, the initial impression when you walk up Totem Street, you see the burned out, I believe it's E Barracks building that's burned in the 80s sometime and was pretty much left as a ruin. It's interesting and sort of tragic and historical. And the idea developed and evolved amongst the artists to maintain its integrity as a ruin, as a historical site, and yet put these interpretive art projects into that location that'll tie in, again, as Carol said, the past and the present and the vision for the future of the fort and that particular building.
Right, there's 17 artists involved and in 16 commissions. Some of the artists are working together. It's a collaborative project, and it was their vision to make the ruins into a destination. And it's really exciting because since finding out looking into other interpretive gardens, and there will be a garden involved, an ethnobotanical garden, over time will be developed.
What does that mean, ethnobotanical?
It's another kind of walking tour where you get to learn about the history of plants and how they were used in this particular location. So it's also an interpretive project through botanical installations. Yeah.
So the Haines artists that are going to be participating in this, could you describe a couple of their project ideas and how they kind of fit in with the theme of the garden?
Well, Andrea Nelson, who is the artistic director for the project, is doing a stratigraphy installation, which is an archaeological recapitulation of found objects that define what went on in the fort over a period of time. So she's actually making an installation along a wall about 20 feet long that will be layers of found objects from the ruins. So that's an interpretive piece of the history. Carrie Cohen is doing a ceramics installation, which comes out of a project where she's developed how to make glacial and ice breakup so that the ceramic will actually look like the ice. Jim Heaton is designing a welcoming figure, and that's what's going to be high up on the wall, and people will be able to see that from the cruise ship dock, and that's a traditional Tlingit welcoming figure that makes people feel welcome from coming off the water into the community or from various byways. So that ties in with the art history of the development of AIA at the fort, where artists were brought back into their culture to promote Tlingit design, jewelry making, carving, dance, and things like that that were at risk of being lost because of cultural oppression.
Is this project, the scale of this project, it seems pretty big with that many artists and in a pretty large space. How does this compare to other have there been other projects in Haines like this before?
No, it's just a tremendously huge project, but it's coming together beautifully because of everyone's engagement.
Yeah, have there ever been this many local artists commissioned for one local project?
No. In fact, even in a large city, normally one or two artists gets commissioned to do a project. But I think it's going to be pulled off.
Yeah, why have you guys chosen to have this many artists involved?
Well, the purpose of the Art Place America grant is to put art at the center of the community. That's create another aspect of community creative placemaking. So they gave us the mandate by funding this project to involve as many artists as we can. So, for example, we have the Art on Main Street, which is involving 40 artists and artisans in window displays. So our goal is over time for every artist and artisan to be showcased in some fashion.
So as project manager, what are some of the things that you are doing right now to get ready for this?
Wow. There's a lot of site prep. We're planning. We're coordinating with the borough on how they can help us out, and they've been wonderfully helpful and supportive of this whole thing. Coordinating the various artists. We're still in the early stages at this point, and the weather's kind of is a factor. So some artists are prepping. I'm assembling tools and future work dates and that kind of thing as we begin to gain momentum here. And I made myself available to all of the artists for any kind of questions they may have on installations and that type of thing. The technical aspect of it is what I'm helping out with.
Are you an artist?
I am an artist. I've been a glass blower, a traditional glass blower for 40 years or so. I'm a professor. I've taught glass making and glass art history in various colleges and universities around the country, and I had a working studio for 40 years. I'm changing sort of out of my media a bit at the moment. I've been doing some carving and painting lately.
And you've been in Haines for a while?
Just a couple of years at the most here. I came up a year or so ago, a little over a year ago, to help some friends move into town, and loved it so much and stayed because of the wonderful art community and the support, and it's a great place.
So how does it make you feel to see a project of this scale that has this many artists involved and is going to be a kind of public space?
I think it's one of the most amazing things I've seen in my history of teaching art and being connected with art, to see a community come together like this and support the artists and have the artists enthusiastic and totally willing to contribute to their community in such a heavy way. I can't even think of any project like this in the country that brings so many artists together for public work in such a public place. It's going to benefit everybody.
Right. And how are you feeling about it at this stage of things?
Oh, I'm always excited. I love doing things that make people happy. But what you're saying, that made me think of one thing I wanted to mention, that we're making every effort we can to invest this grant completely in our community, and that we're hiring artists and artisans to do other aspects, such as creating the spaces for the window displays, carpentry, stonemasonry. There's all kinds of, all kinds of parts of the project that require some kind of creative input, which I think is a great model for our whole community, because really everything we do is creative as human beings, and we want to make our community as beautiful as a built environment as it is in the natural environment.
So I'm not really familiar with the fort barracks. Is this an indoor project or outdoor project?
It's outdoor.
It's outdoor. So what kind of challenge does that present for the different pieces of art?
A lot. In fact, we need to go get ready for a presentation that Helen Alton, the director of the museum, today, she's going to be talking about how the elements affect sculpture and installation materials, and the artists are coming to that to learn things that they may or may not know already about how to make their pieces stand up to the elements. And there are a lot of considerations, but one of the things that we've asked the artists to do is to build the concept of deterioration into their piece, so that it works, that becomes part of the total environment.
Wow, what an interesting thing to consider.
Well, that's the way life is, Yeah. We're born, we mature, and then we deteriorate.
Anything else that you guys want to add about the Fort Seward project?
Not really, except that how enthused I am about the whole thing, and how I think it's going to really be a great shot in the arm for Haines to have that place be a destination.
And you're hoping it'll attract some tourists too, right?
Oh yeah, we're confident that it will. People want to come to Fort Seward, and some people plan their trips to come up here. And with 2017, the sesquicentennial of the purchase of Alaska, and our fort being named after the person who orchestrated that sale, we know that this is going to be a very highly visible project. And we plan on doing a lot of national, international promotion, working with the tourism department and our own PR efforts.
What are some things that you've heard from the artists who are signed up to participate in this?
Every one of them is enthusiastic, and it seems that there's this tremendous synergy that's developed. The whole project evolved from trying to redo the Fort Seward interpretive signage, which was simply signage and walking. And when we got the artists all together, the idea of converting the ruined fort into a sculpture garden took off, and it seems like every time we get the group together, another idea pops up and evolves, and more enthusiasm spills over. It's great.